Okay, everybody, you can probably tell that this is only going to be 2 pages worth, a page and a half, I should say. But first of all, I didn't give you the total on the 235 review of Dan Drazen's review of 235 of Sonic the Hedgehog. Basically, he gave it a 19 out of 30. So, he gave, I'm thinking, the head score 4. The art, the eye score is 6, and in the heart a 9. So you could pretty much assume right there it was 19 out of 30. Almost. It was, I guess, all right. Almost gave him a 20, but didn't really work. Except for the Antoine. You'll have to watch the video to see what I mean. But this is what he said about 38, which was also released in May. Again, for anybody that needs to be recapped, he has a scoring system: head, eye, and score. And it's basically a 10-point system, from what I can tell. So if you get 10, if all 3 are 10, then that's a 30-point issue. That's like getting the gold medal, if you know what I mean. But anyway, okay, this is his review for Sonic Universe 38, which was released in May. Scrambled Part 2, entitled Family. Story by Ian Flynn, art by Jamal Peppers, ink Jim Mash, color Steve Downer, lettering Jack Mullen, editorial assistant Vincent Lavolu, editor Paul Kaminsky, editor-in-chief Victor Golick, family counselor Mike Perithro, Sega licensing representatives Anthony Gutu and Cindy Chow. Alright, and I'll provide the link down below to this so you can read it yourself if I mispronounce stuff. Central City, and this is his review, and I quote, Dan Drazen's review, and I quote, Central City is under attack from, I'm just going to say it, Eggman's fat walkers, aka egg camels. I think my name's funnier. Two civilians, which is apparently all Central casting can spare, take the cue from the series title and scramble. Aboard the lead camel, Dr. Fat himself has a mostly one-sided conversation with Hugo Brass, who, in addition to having been legionized, also appears to have been lobotomized, given his extremely limited 3-word vocabulary. What did Eggman expect from a mindless minion? Shakespeare? It seems the point of this little exercise is that Eggy is still on Snively's trail. This includes the comedy relief robots. And Cubot tries even harder to get laughs by switching his voice chip specs from Texas Panhandle to Jersey Shore. Anyway, Eggman sends the power couple of Metal Sonic and Mecha Sally. He puts a power couple of Sonic and Sally, but it's Metal Sonic, Mecha Sally, in with the rest of the roly-poly bots. Gunn is keeping an eye on developments. Commander Tower deploys Spider and Mantis Troop. Oops. It really doesn't. Commander Tower deploys Spider and Mantis Troop. It really doesn't matter who or what they are because they promptly disappeared from the story. And on loan from the executive branch is our own pain in the oil pan Omega. Let us thank Eggman for a chance to destroy so many of his robots. It's still not as bad as great balls of cholesterol. Meanwhile, away from the action and working on a deflective matrix, like any nerdy scientist in a situation like this, is Hope Kanopo. I can't pronounce it. Unfortunately, she has company in the form of that little traitor and not so favorite relative, Snively. Since he is a relative, she is in no position to execute the Bobby heel maneuver, which consists of screaming, "That's my purse, I don't know you," and then kicking your opponent in the groin. It really would have juiced up the story if she had. Snively grabs her by the ankle before she can hit the panic button and does some fast talking to get her to listen. Big mistake, girlie. Snively tells Hope that he's quit Robotnik Incorporated and is on his way to spring Regina from the slammer. He then claims that the two of them are blood-related sibs, but he qualifies it with so many maybes that the issue is as murky as it was before. Meanwhile, as Omega continues shooting at the fatty in the Fat Fed, Badass Brass deploys the Egg Paladins, 5 brainwashed gun soldiers who look like a boy band in a fighting suit, while the quintet harasses Omega and start taking the words for the encounter. Eggman once more deploys Metal Sonic and Mecha Sally to tag team against Omega. Back in the lab, Snively is still trying to sell Hope on the idea of joining him in springing Regina, which would make for a really complicated family dynamic. Would the former Iron Queen be Hope's sister-in-law, or surrogate mother, or what? More importantly, Snively conveniently doesn't tell her about his sweetie's techno-mage tendencies. But then, the Sniveler kills the deal by going into power-mad maniac mode, which kind of spoils the whole Hallmark moment he was trying to put across. Hope then demonstrates her killer face palm abilities while denouncing Snively as horrible, wretched, miserable, hateful, evil. Tell us how you really feel, girlfriend. And he capitalizes really. Snively then counters with second-rate, ungrateful brat. If this scenario reminds any of you of family reunions you've ever attended, you might want to get therapy if you haven't done so already. Hope then uses a flame shield, he puts in quotations flame shield, which surrounds her with a fiery dome, and then does what she started to do 9 pages ago and pushes the panic button. Snively takes off and Hope figures it's time to have a good cry. Snively is pursued by a couple of gunfighter jets, which are then punched out by Metal Sonic and Mecha Sally. We also find out that Snively's aircraft is being tracked, so just as before, Iggy calls the whole thing off and has everyone turn back instead of making one final push and actually accomplishing something. That's all part of the game, isn't it? He asks, persistently. Besides, we're nowhere near Sonic 250 yet. As Gunn starts cleaning up after the disaster, we learn that Omega has really lousy people skills. Snively now thinks that Regina is his only shot and Robotnik is back on his tail. How many hearts will be broken? The concluding text box asks, sounding as if it had wandered in from an old teen romance comic. Alright, here's his head score. I can only assume that while this is the same Hugo Bass who appeared in Crouching Hedgehog, Hidden Dragon, this story essentially has 2 stories going on. Robotnik on the attack with his droid, and Snively, well, I guess I didn't get all that, well, trying to convince Hope. This leaves the trying to establish himself, I don't know. That leaves the reappearance of Hope, which IMO, in my opinion, is much more interesting. Honestly, Ever since she resurfaced, the drama between Snively and Hope is self-contained and feels like a rest stop on a road trip. The cast members, especially from Gunn, get shoved on stage and then pulled back before they can accomplish much of anything. This story simply has no reason for being. If you were to read through the entire arc, you just as well skip this installment completely. Head score 3. The eye score. Jamal Peppers does very good work here. It was especially important in the Hope Snively sequence where they both get to stretch emotionally. Not every artist who's worked for this comic could sell that kind of material. I'm not naming names. Steve Downer's coloring is impressive during the flame shield sequence. Eye score, which for artistic stuff, 10. Heart. Seeing Hope again reminded me of how much Antoine wait. Oh, okay. Seeing Hope. This is going into the heart score. Basically, the heart of the story. Seeing Hope again reminded me of how much Archie wasted her when she was in the comic before. The setup was perfect, but in a book with a main cast of furries, she was alone, human, about the same size as most of the cast, but also the same age as the targeted audience. But she was woefully underutilized until she more or less disappeared from the narrative when Snively told her. In so many words, to get the hell out of Dodge before Eggman wasted old Mobotropolis and Sonic 175. She managed to put in a curtain call to vent at Snively and to vow to avenge the loss of her furry friends by becoming an engineer. Seriously, that's what he's saying, seriously. Archie didn't bother to reintroduce the character when she popped up in the first issue of the first Sonic universe. We would eventually learn that she's gone to at a gun facility where she gets to play with the lethal toys such as Omega, and that she couldn't bring herself to return to Mobotropolis because she blamed herself for not being with them during the aforementioned attack. This is as close to something as complex as Survivor's Guild as Archie will probably get. While the portrayal of Hope is nicely complex, it's unfortunately wasted on this story arc. Due to circumstances beyond my control, I'll let this review slide for a while. It got bad. It got so bad that I have to take two... it got so bad that I have the next 2 issues of the story arc waiting to be reviewed. And believe me when I tell you that Hope never makes it to the final installment. That's because after she left in this issue, she's simply forgotten. As abandoned as she was by the Overlanders who later relocated to Station Square. Eggman's comic relief bots, Snively, Regina, Brass, they all make it to the 4th installment of this 4-parter. Hope, however, ultimately serves the thankless role of poster child for loose continuity. She serves as a reminder that Archie Editorial is aware of her existence, and that's about it. But according to the rules of loose continuity, we'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when. Heart score, ultimately, 3 for Abandoning Hope. So, out of a potential 30 score, according to this, 16 out of 30. So, as you can probably tell, the highest so far of these 2 reviews in the releases back in May, the comic book releases in May. 235 seemed to be the better one, just by 3 points, to Dan Drazen. And again, Dan Drazen, in case you don't know, has been a fan and the oldest living fan so far of this comic booking franchise. And he has a good eye for a lot of things, you could tell that. But to him, if he has to end up giving something just above 15, then it's all right. The artwork helped it. But basically what Dan Drazen's trying to say, and I'm sure a lot of you will disagree and may agree, is that Archie needs to basically, Archie editorial, the writer, anybody, in his mind, in his opinion, they need to step it up. Now he may have a change, now Dan may have a more positive review in the next few months, but we'll just have to wait and see. But that's his review on Sonic Universe 38. I will provide the link down below, and I'll talk to you later. Comment and video response if you like.